Here's what nobody wants to admit about dating after 50. We're all competing against 30-year-olds. And they look really good in photos. They have smooth foreheads and firm everything and the kind of energy that comes from never having worried about their back going out while putting on pants. Let's be brutally honest here. If everyone could date a gorgeous 30-year-old who was also emotionally mature and financially stable and genuinely interested in them, most would sign that dotted line for sure, men and women alike. The appeal of youth isn't just about looks, it's about that sense of possibility, that energy, that reminder of what it felt like when everything was still ahead of you instead of behind you. And men over 50, they've been trying to make this happen since dating apps were invented. Check the data. Most of them have their age parameters set 18 and above, casting the very widest net possible. And here's what those apps will never admit. The fantasy sells, but it doesn't last. Swiping on a 30-year-old feels exciting in the moment, but what most people actually stick around for is different. They want someone who makes them feel alive in the real world, yeah. Someone who laughs at the same ridiculous stories. Someone with opinions worth debating and stories worth hearing. The fantasy is youth. The reality, the part that matters, is connection. And connection isn't about age. It's about being interesting. So today we are talking about why you don't have to be a hot 30-year-old to win at dating after 50. You just have to be interesting. And if that sounds interesting to you, I hope you'll stick around because that's what's on the agenda. The dating world wants you to believe that youth equals value, that smooth skin trumps life experience, that looking 30 is more important than being captivating. That is not how attraction actually works, especially not for people who've lived long enough to know the difference between pretty and fascinating. Let's start with the obvious, the beauty industry. They make billions convincing us that looking younger is the only path to being desirable. Anti-aging creams, procedures, filters that make you look like your high school yearbook photo. Even I have partnered with the folks who make my red light therapy mask that smooths my skin and restores my elastins and collagen, because I want my skin to last as long as possible. If you do too, the code and the link are in my description box below. It is a machine designed to keep you spending money on your insecurities. Most evenings you're going to find me weightlifting or stretching, and while I'm working on my body, this mask is working on my face. So I'd been wanting a red light therapy mask for like almost a year now, but I kept putting it off. You know how it is. The good ones are really expensive, and I wasn't sure which brand to go with. And then Inia called me up and was like, hey, do you want to try ours? And I was like, yes, please, absolutely, sign me up. Turns out, so much better than the one I'd been saving for. This thing has 272 lights in it. Like 272 individual LEDs all over my face. The other one I was looking at, half the lights, triple the price, but half the lights. I'm like, wow, talk about dodging a bullet here. But it's not just about having more lights. It's about having the right kind of lights. And this one uses red light and near infrared, which are the two wavelengths you actually hear about in all the research. They help your skin heal, boost cell turnover, smooth out the fine lines, rebuild collagen, all the good stuff. The red light works on what you can see on the surface, but the near infrared goes way deeper, hitting those skin layers that really need the help. But here's what's going to blow your mind. It's totally wireless. Like no cord following me around while I'm doing deadlifts. I'm not doing deadlifts. But no being stuck next to some wall outlet like I'm a lamp or something. I can lift and stretch and do my whole routine, and this thing just stays on my face with Velcro. So while I'm working on my body, this mask is working on my face. And if I had to be really, really honest, my skin's showing results a little bit faster than my biceps are. I'm okay with that. But here's what they don't really want you to realize. Most of the people worth dating aren't shopping for a 30-year-old. They're your own age, and they have lived through their own divorces and raised their own families, their kids, and maybe lost their own parents. They're not looking for somebody to remind them of high school or their youth. They're looking for somebody who understands their present. A 62-year-old woman who is genuinely ready for companionship, she doesn't want to compete with her date's memories of his high school or college girlfriend. She wants somebody who appreciates that she knows herself now in ways that she never did at 25. And a 65-year-old man, he doesn't want to explain why he prefers dinner conversation to nightclub dancing. He just wants somebody who finds his perspective as appealing as his profile. The youth obsession isn't about what people actually want. It's about what advertisers want you to think they want, so that you'll keep buying solutions to problems that don't actually exist. Interesting doesn't necessarily mean that you climb mountains or speak 6 languages or have a passport full of stamps. Those are, of course, interesting, but also interesting means you are awake to your own life. You have opinions about things that matter to you. You can tell a story that makes somebody lean in instead of check their phone. Interesting is the woman who can explain why she switched from oil painting to watercolors and what that taught her about letting go of control. It's the man who spent 3 years learning to make perfect sourdough bread and can talk about patience in a way that makes you think about your own relationship with waiting. It's about having something to say when somebody asks, "So hey, what's been lighting you up lately?" And actually meaning it. Too many people think interesting requires exotic experiences. Those are great, but it doesn't. It requires paying attention to the experiences you are having. The book that changed how you see friendship. Maybe the hobby that you picked up during the pandemic that turned into a passion. Interesting is curiosity in action. And curiosity doesn't fade with age. If anything, it deepens. Here's what 30-year-olds don't necessarily have. Decades of stories. Real ones, not Instagram moments, but the kind of lived experience that shapes how you see the world. You've watched friends get married, maybe divorced, married again. You've seen careers bloom and crash. You've been through economic recessions and family crises and personal reinventions. You know what it feels like to lose something you thought you couldn't live without and discover that, yeah, you could. Those stories aren't baggage. They're your curriculum for being human. Whether you are a woman who rebuilt her identity after the kids left home or a man who discovered who he was after a career ended, these experiences make you complex and layered and worth knowing. When you tell somebody about the year you spent caring for your mother, or the time you changed careers at 49 years old, or how you learned to be alone after 25 years of marriage, you're not sharing damage. You're sharing your depth. And depth is, that word again, magnetic. Oh my gosh, a 30-year-old might look amazing in a little black dress or in a tight t-shirt if it's a guy, but they've never had to figure out how to love themselves after their body changed in ways that they didn't choose for themselves. They've never had to rebuild confidence from the ground up or discover who they are when nobody needs them to be anything for anybody anymore. You have, and that shows up in how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you laugh, how you handle conflict and disappointment and unexpected joy. So, a 30-year-old might turn heads, of course, but a woman who's lived and learned how to love herself anyway, people can feel the difference. Let's talk about what happens when the dinner arrives and you actually have to talk to each other. This is where interesting wins every single time. A 30-year-old might be able to discuss the latest Netflix series or whatever drama is happening on social media, but can he share what he discovered about friendship in the last decade that he wished he'd known at 20? You can, because you've lived it. Your conversations aren't theoretical. They're grounded in real life experiences. When you talk about resilience, you aren't quoting some self help book. You're talking about the time you survived something you thought you might not. Here's the truth about competing with younger people: you are playing an entirely different game. They are selling potential, you are selling proven value. They're offering excitement of the unknown, of course, but you're offering the comfort of somebody who knows themselves. They might be the shiny new car in the lot. You're the classic car that's been restored with care and runs better than ever. Different markets, different buyers. The person who's genuinely ready for a mature relationship isn't cross-shopping you against somebody half your age, and if they are, they're not your person anyway. So stop trying to compete on their terms. Start playing to your strengths. Your strengths are considerable, even if the dating app algorithms don't know how to measure them. Nobody over 50 is looking for a time machine. What singles crave is simple: a partner, not a project. Somebody who can talk about real life, money, family, health, the future without falling apart. Somebody who has done their own emotional work and has their own friends, their own interests, and is inviting you into a life, not asking you to build one for them. That is what lasts, and it has nothing to do with age. It has everything to do with being interesting now. If you're worried that you're not interesting enough, here's how to change that. And it has nothing to do with anti-aging. It's to start paying attention to your own curiosity. What questions keep you up at night? What topics make you lose track of time? What skills have you always wanted to learn? Just follow those threads. Read books that challenge your thinking and take classes in subjects that fascinate you. And sure, travel, even if it's just to the, city a couple hours away. Try restaurants that serve food you can't pronounce. Say yes to invitations that make you a little nervous. Most importantly, practice talking about your life like it matters. Because it does, Stop apologizing for your interests or downplaying your experiences. And for sure, stop making apologies before you speak. It's probably going to be boring, but no, your life is not boring. Your perspective is not common. All of your experiences and opinions are absolutely unique to you. Own that. The dating world will try to convince you that your value peaked at 30 and that you've been depreciating ever since. Actually, I think it's 18 maybe for women. It's not just wrong, it's offensive. You're not a used car with high mileage. You're a human being who has gathered some wisdom and developed character along the way. Maybe learn how to be yourself in a world that's constantly trying to make you into somebody else. That's not something that you can buy in a bottle or achieve with a filter, is it? That's something that you can earn by living and paying attention to what you learn along the way. So stop trying to be a hot 30-year-old. You're not 30, and that's exactly what makes you valuable. You're you. You're complex. I hope you found that interesting or helpful. If you did, you might want to check out this episode. It's not anything like this one here. Hey, before you go, please give my little mama here the thumbs up. She just told me that she's more interesting than a 30-year-old because she actually reads the newspaper. I just didn't have the heart to tell her that most 30-year-olds don't even know what a newspaper is. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, because being interesting only gets better with age, and this channel is living proof. I appreciate you hanging out with me today, and until next time, have a good one.